Recording.
Auburn, Georgia line move analysis. VR, what's going on?
Okay, Auburn opened as a 9.5-point favorite at Chris.
And Chris is renowned
to put out that first number. It's usually a race between Chris, the Greek, them two, and you could toss Pinnacle into the mix even.
What I've been noticing is Chris has been winning offshore almost every game.
I agree with that. And this one opened 9.5 at Chris. It didn't last long at all. If you look across the board after that, Penny, the Greek, they all went to 8.5. So Chris got hit immediately on the Georgia side. The rest of the market opened it up at 8.5. We saw it as low as 7 yesterday.
All right, so we're taping Thursday. On Wednesday and even Tuesday, tons of rumors. Cam Newton's not going to play, et cetera, et cetera. The MGM here in Vegas took it down. Bodog took it down. Other sportsbooks took it down. Now on Thursday,
it's up to 8 again. He's going to play. It's backed up to 8. Bodog's still sitting at 7. You know how they are.
All right, so we broke this down, Marco and I, yesterday. We broke the game down, but I spent a good while talking about line, how you create a line when there's a player with extreme uncertainty, and it's a player. Cam Newton is worth 6 points, is what the books are saying. So if the line, let's say the true line is 9,
if he
didn't play, it'd be 3 or
I
so.
heard near touchdown.
All right,
too.
so in value, 6 or 7. All right, so what I did in that video was really break down when you have uncertainty, how do you handle that mathematically. So check that out at pregame.tv if you're interested. Now let's talk about what you think. All right, so what I tend to do
That's why I added this game to this group of videos, because I didn't just, although I wanted to get across a couple of those true steam plays, and every Friday I send out my newsletter on college football, and I do isolate certain true steam plays, not official positions that I'm taking, even though many times come Saturday I am on some of those sides. But what I like to do is for my clients is give them 7, 8, 9, 10 true steam positions, possibly help them confirm their plays, because most of them like to handicap their own game, so at least they know these line moves are legitimate.
All right, so when you say true steam, you're saying not only did the line move,
I know
but
this
it's
is
based
a true
on legitimate
position.
Action.
Even if you see it come back a little the other way, the position, the significant position, is on the side. I'm telling you, you could rest assured that every wise guy that bet that game is on the same side you're going to be if you happen to, back them.
All right, so this is called, your newsletter is called Morning Moves, and you can get it for $1 a day, $29 a month, and that's vegasrunner.com for anyone interested.
60% winners.
60% sounds good to me. All right, so so let's think about this a second. Opens up near 10. So if they liked Auburn, it was going to tick to 10 pretty quick. Clearly they thought this number was inflated, bet it down a point or so, but didn't get all the way to 7, which is a sign of saying they think the public is going to certainly have this over 7 come Saturday, so why take 7.5?
And once again, this is going to be one of those games that's added into every exotic. Auburn's 10-0. Even if they don't cover, your recreational players thinking they're not going to lose the game at home. What can you do? Tease it down to under a field goal. This is going to be tied into the most teasers come Saturday,
so
for sure.
Let's talk about this. So basic strategy in teasers is you want to tease up through 3 and 7 or down through 3 and 7.
If you're sharp.
If you're sharp. So to me in the NFL, and that's a thread that I do at pregameforums.com, is every Sunday I give one teaser, and typically, because I like NFL teasers more than college, because points in the NFL are more valuable. The line's tighter.
I agree.
All right. But let's say I love to tease 2.5 to 8.5, and I do 6 point minus 110 typically. I love to tease 8.5 down to 2.5 or some variation of that. Do you believe that when they tick from 8.5 to 9, and then to 9.5 if it's a 7-point tease, that they're thinking about, because really 8 and 9 aren't key numbers for the side, but if you're at 8, you can tease down through 3 on a 6-point teaser, but if you're at 9, you can't.
Can't do it.
You can only tease
absolutely.
2.
That's a defense mechanism. They're throwing out there. What you got to remember is they're there to defend against the sharp better, against the wise guy. The recreational player, even though he may tease down through those numbers, he's not thinking that's what I'm doing. When he's going to tease Auburn come Saturday, He's teasing Auburn not to lose at home.
Yeah,
not thinking of the value that, I'm being able, now I'm getting it through to 7, through to 3. That hasn't crossed their mind. They're not approaching it like this is a market. They're looking at it as Auburn won't lose at home. That's the bottom line. But your sports book, of course, they want to increase that number for a sharp bettor who is going to look at it that way. How am I going to get it through those key numbers? How am I going to add value to this teaser? So by inflating it up to that 9, 9.5, that's exactly what you're doing.
So by going from 9.5 to 8.5, you're opening yourself up to the tease, but you're defending yourself against too much value on the dog.
Exactly.
So you're saying a move from 9.5 to 8.5 is actually a legit or is a significant move based upon the teaser ramifications.
I agree. And getting back to this game, what we were saying when we started off, the reason I wanted to add it is this is one of those moves that isn't wise guy related after the first hit. The initial hit when this one opened up 9.5 that's an inflated number. Every sheet, every sharp had this number sitting around 7.5 or so. You know, right around that touchdown, someone might have had it as high as 8, someone might have had it as low as 6.5. But to make a long story short, no one had it 9.5. So as soon as that 9.5 came out, even though you know there's going to be Auburn action, anyone who was quick enough...
Auburn action on Saturday.
Saturday, exactly. Anyone who was quick enough to click their mouse knew you're going to have the race to get that 9.5. It will not be there long. And it wasn't. It was there for minutes before every other book opened up at 8.5. So very few wise guys grabbed that 9.5.
But if Chris knew, let's assume Chris knew that the first move was going to be down. That means one of two things. That means they wanted that action, or meaning they wanted someone to take Auburn at 9, or take Georgia at 9.5, or they didn't know. I mean, so
yeah, that's what I think.
Maybe they think, oh, this could go to 10 just
That's
as
what
easy
you
as
see it all the time. You see the Greek, he takes a position so many times at Olympic. He'll put his number 1 point off from everyone else's. You know, they have opinions as well.
You think Chris wanted the
I think
Georgia
they had an
action?
opinion. I think they had an opinion. I think they believed that even if the power ratings of their odds makers or whoever gave them their number might have made it 8.5 or 7.5, they thought it was too low. They took a position and said, no, this should be 9.5. But they were reprimanded by wise guys, and they had to bring it down. But I think after that is what I'm talking about.
All right.
Since then, this is one of those that I like to call like an injury move. You see it move 2-3 points. Very little wise guy money may have gotten down at any of those numbers, because you got to remember the sports books are in the same industry we are. They're there to defend their own money. So what are you going to do when there's injuries, when there's weather, when there's, rumors like the Cam Newton thing? You want to adjust your number and try to defend against getting hit.
So you're saying it moved on air?
I think they were able to beat a lot of the wise guys to a move. I think this was an adjustment made by the sports books, bringing that number down. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I have a book. I have my total at 38.5. I know snow's coming or wind's coming at 30 miles an hour. What am I going to do? Am I going to wait for a wise guy to hit me at 38.5, or am I going to bring it down to 37 myself?
But in that case, the move is based on legitimate reasons, which is the weather's going to affect the ability to score. If the Cam Newton stuff is nothing but rumor, and that's why I think there was some real merit to the possibility of him not playing, is that number moving to 7. I mean, yesterday, on Wednesday, Chris and all the sharp books had it at 7.
Right.
That was either...
Well, there's some substance there from what they're saying, for sure.
Or the perception of substance is enough to say, hey, we're going to get people wanting to even take the 7, so why give them even more?
Exactly. And like you said, MGM took it off the board. We don't even want to mess with it. Let's find out what happens, and then we'll give you a price to beat.
All right, line prediction.
Honestly, I think this one, it's not going to sit at 7. It's not going to go down to 7 because we know Cam's going to play.
Assuming that he's playing.
We're assuming he's playing. This is going to be one of them games where the public money is going to be 65-70% on the Auburn side.
Agreed.
Exotics are going to be around 90%. I mean, as much as Georgia might sound a little juicy, up over that 10, getting them close to 2 touchdowns on a teaser, and an SEC,
okay.
Having that SEC battle and getting a team like Georgia, who played absolutely no one last week and was able to look ahead to Auburn and prepare, But with that said, I think it's going to be, again, 90% of exotics are going to be tied into the Auburn side. So we're not going to see this line go down to 7.
All right. So if you like Auburn and you can get 7, lay it
Get it now. It's sitting at Bodog as we speak. Fire away. You're not going to see that number again. I think we're going to see 8, 8.5, and that's where it's going to go off.
What's our next game?
Stanford, we're going to be doing the Stanford and Arizona State game.
All right, guys, next up, last college game, Stanford, Arizona State.